living well and we're planning our life, like things really turned around and we did it together. We did it as a team because you believed in me, I believed in you. And losing her just literally turned everything upside down. I had always vowed to myself when my nephew and niece were murdered that if something tragic were to happen to me, that I was going to find a way to turn it into something positive. That's just who my mom and dad raised. That's who we were.
Awesome, everybody. Welcome back to the CVMK show, because it is what it is. I have an amazing guest. Look, fitness means so much, and it takes on a different context and an evolution of meaning, because I believe the physical is spiritual, right? That your body and your spirit have to be aligned. And we don't just work out for the beach muscles. There's a story behind every journey. There's a purpose behind every rep. And we want to get to the bottom. I have Kelly Kirk, who is the founder of the 222 Muscle Foundation. It is an amazing foundation. We're going to discuss his journey into bodybuilding, his journey into this non-for-profit, and why you should support. So with that being said, everybody, welcome back. Welcome, I should say, Kelly Kirk. Kelly, how you doing today, man?
How you doing, Cody? Good to see you.
Good to see you. Well, look, man, I'm super excited about having you on, the show. Thank you for responding to my reach out. A lot of times, and I've always said this, when you reach out to a guest, you just never know how it's going to go, right? You're like, I'm going to take your show seriously and whatnot, but Kelly has been amazing. We connected last week and we discussed some things, and I really think he has an amazing story to share. So I'm super excited about having you on. But for those that do not know, give them a little bit about who you are.
All right. My name is Kelly Kirk, and I am the founder and CEO of 222 Muscle, the Sophia Graham Foundation. We are a nonprofit. We're the only nonprofit mental health organization in the country that focuses on mental health through physical strength. So we do several things, but the primary objective is to raise money to provide free gym memberships and training to anybody in the country that is going through some sort of trauma or tragedy where we feel that gym membership may literally save their life. We have all been through a point in our lives as gym people where you go in the gym and you just have to have that focus and it turns your life around and it makes a difference. We've all heard stories, and that's what we do. So that's pretty much it. We do a lot of other stuff, but that's our main thing off the bat.
I love it. It's physical health or physical strength through the mental health. And I think that's a very unique approach, that you really don't hear. A lot of the times we try to separate the two. Like there's the mental side of you and the physical, as if the two don't speak or they're not connected. So to really interloop it and to really have this entwined and interconnected force, I think is absolutely beneficial. Look, I got a lot of great questions I want to ask you. We're going to get into it. But I just got a quick word from our sponsor.
There's a hero in all of us, waiting to be unleashed. All it takes is just that one last push. Activate the hero within with CVMK Global Supplements. All natural, steroid-free, designed to enhance performance, build muscle, and increase energy. You are unstoppable. You can do this. Become your own hero at www.cvmkglobal.store.
Awesome, everybody. Welcome back. www.cvmkglobal.store. I got one of the products with me, the creatine that I use, super thick. Get it today at www.cvmkglobal.store. Grow in all the right places. Look, everybody has a different entry point into fitness. I think it's a false assumption to assume that we all get into it for the same things. I was watching the Arnold documentary on Netflix. He gets into it because he felt like this was the way out of Austria, right? He wanted to get to America and he really kind of fell in love with it. And he felt like bodybuilding was going to be his path forward, and this is at a time where there is no Instagram, there's no social media, there really is no ecosystem for bodybuilding. So to take something this pure, I mean, it was a very niche sport, right? This pure and this raw, and to say this is going to be my driving force into all other things in life, that's a very bold standard. So I want to start there. Why did you get into fitness?
I was 15 years old, 14 years old, 15 years old, freshman, sophomore in high school. And the first day of school, my geometry teacher walks by me and he's taking class, and I am tiny. I went into high school at about 4'8", 96 pounds. I was tiny. And my geometry teacher walks by and he's taking attendance the very first morning. And he stops at my desk and he says, "How much do you weigh?" I said, "I don't know, about 96 pounds. He goes, "You're starting varsity wrestling this year. Just make sure you tell your parents when you go home." I knew nothing about wrestling other than WWE. Hulk Hogan, that's the kind of stuff I knew. So showed up at wrestling and realized that, I was little okay, but I wanted to get a little bit bigger. My brother was 4 years older than me. Like so many of us, I looked up to my brother. He was my hero. And he was working out in the basement with mom with some old sand weights downstairs. This was 1983.
Okay.
And I started doing the same thing. Every day I'd come home from school after practice and I'd go downstairs in the gym in the basement and get a workout in little by little, just trying to, to be that person. And it's funny because you couldn't tell me my sophomore year in wrestling, when I weighed about 97, 98 pounds, that I wasn't just Arnold Jr. I thought I was, huge. So it's funny to look back on it now. But I literally got into it because I was little and I wanted to have some strength from an athletic performance, but also just from a physical physical look.
I like that. So your teacher saw something in you that you didn't see in yourself, right? And it kind of pushed.
He just saw me being little.
Right.
he needed somebody for that weight class. Yeah.
But it pushed you into this kind of new evolution, right? Like, hey, look, my brother's doing it. I know I can do it, and it kind of just birthed this fire that it was on the inside of you. I think sometimes what ends up happening is that fire and heat gets confused, right? Like, and what I mean by that,
love that.
A lot of people start. Very few people can continue, and there's a lot of reasons for it. Life isn't linear. It's easy to kind of get derailed, and I think it's going to kind of tie into how the creation of 222 Muscle, the Sophia Graham Foundation, started. But let's take that pivot. You continued this journey, and then life happened. So take us down this road of when life happened, and what are some of the lessons that you had to draw from it?
Okay, well, from a workout standpoint, I graduated high school, went into college, thought I was going to wrestle in college, decided that wasn't the right thing for me, but I was still in the weight room every day, and I was loving the working out and just the results that I was seeing, how I felt, how I looked. So I ran into a gentleman down here in my area, Dave Spindell, passed away a few years ago. Fantastic, big guy in the natural bodybuilding industry down here. And met him, and he said, "You should bodybuild." Let's bodybuild. What are you talking about? Okay. And started working with him and competed in my first couple shows when I was 21, 22, 23, really didn't know what I was doing. And that kind of got me into it. I was training at a gym over here in Alexandria, Gold's Gym. This was in 96, 97. There were 3 or 4 IFBB bodybuilding pros. Dave Batista, before he was a big star, was working out there, used to train. Look at him, huge. And all those guys were motivating. And I'm never going to be 300 pounds, but it didn't make any difference. It was motivating to go in there and see that. So that was early on, and it just literally became a part of me. Every single day, after work, whatever that job that I had or whatever I was doing, a workout became part of my day. There was no question about it. Hey, what are you doing today? I get off at 5. I'll be at the gym at 5:30, train till about 7, and then I'll be home. Do you want to do something after? Like, that was just what it was. And my family knew that, friends knew that, and everybody. Fast forward, I don't know, 15 years later, my two best friends and I decided that we wanted to open a gym. They had always wanted to own one. I had worked for Life Fitness Hammer Strength. I had worked for Gold's Gym Corporate. Had been in the industry, but had also been in the medical industry. I worked for the Redskins for a year. I really bounced around and did a whole bunch of stuff that wasn't necessarily bodybuilding gym related, but it was fitness related, health related.
Right.
And we embarked in 2007. We opened up our own powerhouse gym. It was definitely more than I think we ever expected to, bite off. It was big. And we struggled as the economy went bad in 2009. Yeah. And we just had a really hard time with it. So when life really started, I would say up until that point, I was about 40. And I would say from the time I was graduated college to 40 years old, everything had pretty much gone in my favor. If there was a job I wanted, I went and got it. If there was a car I wanted, if there was money, just never had any sickness, never had any death in the family, nothing. Life had just been great. Sure. And all of a sudden, after we had opened the gym, we were struggling with the gym as a new business, small business owners. And my nephew and niece, my brother, who I said was my hero and I'd looked up to my entire life, his two kids were 11 and 12 years old, and they were murdered by their stepfather. And it was an international story. I had friends from India, from different places in Europe contacting me that had heard about this on the news. And that pretty much rocked my entire family's world. That's something you never, ever, ever expect to happen. You never expect to have to see that. And then to deal with the next year of the trial and just, what my brother was going through and family was going through and all that. So that was really the start of it. But on the positive side, that is also, as an owner of Powerhouse Gym, when I saw this fitness community come together. We had a couple thousand members, and they shut down our group exercise room where we did aerobics and all of that, because there were so many flowers and gifts and people didn't care. That's okay. We don't need classes. We're here. We'll find something else. We want to support you. It was amazing. A couple thousand people showed up for the kids' funeral. There were people from the gym that I didn't even, it was amazing. And that was the first time that I really looked and went, for something that's a tragedy and awful that I'm going through, these people are special. These people that are in the gym and that are here every day and see what we're doing, are something special. Fast forward 6 months later, my mom was on and off sick, but mostly doing well, and she passed away in her sleep. And we kind of chalked that up to, she needed to be with her grandkids, and that's where mom wanted to be. And it was tragic, but at the same time, my mom was older. You don't necessarily not expect it. And after what we went through with the kids, we could find solace in that she's in heaven. She's with Brittany and Connor. They are together, and this is what it was meant to be. 30 days later, my dad was diagnosed with stage 4 brain tumor. Told he would probably have 30 days to live. Well, my dad was old school, old generation. I remember when we went to see the oncologist, he said, Mr. Kirk, he said, we're going to treat you as if you were a 30-year-old as opposed to an 80-year-old, if you're okay with that. And my dad said, well, yeah, why? And he goes, well, in the words of the medical community, he said, your generation and just who you are and talking to you and feeling your resolve, he said, you are what we call in the medical industry a tough son of a bitch. And my sister and brother and I kind of laughed, and my dad was like, okay. Well, my dad made it 13 months. It was hard to watch. Here's somebody who had always been strong, had raised 5 kids, had raised us the right way, had never taken a day off, was never sick, just get weaker and weaker and weaker by the minute. I mean, it was difficult. But at the same time, it was spending that time with him was literally some of the best time of my life. We were closer going through that maybe than we ever had been. We talked about everything from life and death and God and spiritual stuff and mom and the kids and sadness. I mean, things that maybe we never would have talked about, otherwise. So again, it was just another little chapter, I guess, that kind of went through. My dad passed away, and the gym continued on and off, struggling. Fast forward a few years later, my partners and I were not partners anymore. The gym was just mine, and it was doing rough, and didn't think we were going to make it. And just from bad business decisions, bad not knowing what we were doing, the economy, just, a little bit of everything. Nobody's fault, just nothing was really working. And there were days where I literally could not pay payroll, and people would show up to work. And this leads into kind of what I'm doing now. People would literally come into work, and I didn't have money to pay them. And to have to look 43 employees in the eyes and go, guys, I don't have your paycheck. You would expect all 43 people to walk out and say, you know what, bye, I'm done. And I told them, I said, if you guys can't be here, I totally understand it. About 95% of the people stayed. And I said, look, I'll work with the ones that, you are a single mom, 2 kids, and this is your only income. I'm going to make sure I get you your money. Are you guys okay with that? Everybody's like, yep, make sure she gets her check. You're a Group X instructor. Your husband works at the Pentagon. You're doing good. This is just extra money. Are you okay if we wait a week or 2? Yep, I can do it. And people stayed. And the reason they told me they stayed was because they saw what I was doing. They saw how hard I was working. They saw the sacrifices I was making. They knew what I had been through with my family. They knew that I was at the gym, 18, 20 hours a day, that I wasn't taking a paycheck. It wasn't a situation where I was living high and nobody else was getting paid, And I started to see, some of my leadership abilities, I guess, for lack of a better word, which ties in, even to now. But at the time, you don't think any of that. All you can see is what's right in front of you, which is, I'm going to lose the gym. I can't pay anybody. How awful am I? What happened to my life? Where are my parents? Where are the kids? At the time, you can't see the forest for the trees. Yeah. Fast forward a little bit further, and I ended up, the lady and kids I was with, we had broken up. I was devastated. Ended up no place to live. I couldn't afford rent anywhere. I was literally living in my car at a rest stop. And I drive a smart car. So that's not like I was in a big Cadillac. I was literally in a smart car. And I had met Sophia Graham. Sophia was a member at the gym, came in, had seen me at a bodybuilding show. She actually kind of chased me down, wanted to come join the gym. Right. And her and I started dating. We hit it off. There was a huge gap in age. Nobody cared, because in this little fitness world, we worked. Yeah. We just meshed. Nobody cared. What? No, who cares? You know what? Do we watch different movies because we're a totally different generation? Yeah, but we lived the same thing in the gym. We ate together. We cooked. So we had been together, and I was living in my car at a rest stop, and I literally just lied to everyone. Hey, Kelly, how you doing? I'm doing good. Where are you living? A place down the road. Oh, I'm staying at my sister's house. My family. Hey, where are you staying? Oh, I'm staying with a friend. I lied to everybody. Sure. I didn't feel like it was anybody's, not that it wasn't anybody's business, but I was ashamed. I was ashamed that I wasn't able to make it. I was ashamed that I wasn't doing well enough to not live in my car, and I wanted to project that image. Sophia knew. She didn't care. She loved me for who I was and believed in me. Honey, keep going. You can do this. We can turn it around. You can do it. You can do it. You can do it. Well, I lost the gym. The gym went out of business. And actually the owners of Powerhouse International, who have been in the gym industry since the Joe Gold Arnold Schwarzenegger, 68, 69 days.
Yep.
Absolutely amazing family. And I'm talking to the owner, and he finally told me, he was like, Kelly, let it go. He said, this is not worth it. It's not worth your health. It's not worth your mental. If you want another gym in the future, we'll get you another one. He said, but what this is doing to you inside is not worth it. He said, let it go. You're not the first person to lose a business. You won't be the last. Let it go. And I walked away, and it was difficult. You know, it was difficult for the community because we had 4,000 members that loved coming there. I had 30, 40 employees. So it was hard to do, but it was also the right thing and probably the only thing to do. But I was rock bottom. A friend of mine from high school had asked me to come over and house sit for her cat while she was going out of town. And I said, sure. And I got over there and I house sat for a couple days while she was out of town. And I came back over to make sure everything was okay when she got home. And she had a spare bedroom set up. And she goes, you can't lie to me after 30 years of knowing you. I know stuff's not going well. She's like, stay here. You can help me out, mow the lawn, take care of stuff, you know. So, again, somebody in my world that stepped up and did something that I didn't expect, you know, that I will always owe gratitude to. And again, Sophia and I were still together, and weren't going to the gym. I didn't have a gym to go to. I was 226 pounds. I'm 5'5". Felt horrible, blood pressure through the roof, just awful.
Right.
And a friend of mine from a previous world, when I worked at Gold's Gym Corporate, he owns a gym out here, and I sent him a message, asked him how much the gym membership was. He said, doesn't make any difference. He said, I know you don't have any money. I know what happened to the gym. He said, you're a good guy. I will give you a membership, you and Sophia, a gym membership, if you promise you will get your butt in the gym and start working out every day. And I said, why? And he said, because I know it'll do you good. So if you'll get in here, I'll give you a free gym membership. I'll comp you. And I said, okay. 4:30 the next morning, Sophia and I walked into that gym together, and we started training together. And she was tiny. Sophia's 4'11" on a good day. And we trained together. We squatted together. We leg pressed. We bent. Everything we did together. And it was fantastic. And little by little, over the next 6-8 months, even year, my physical started getting better. Sure. I started losing weight. I started feeling stronger. I started looking better. My clothes fit better, everything. And as that happened, the craziest thing, my mental got better. And it was just, I've never seen anything like it. You know, I had never experienced that. I had always been up here. And for me to be down here and have to claw my way up was something totally different. Yeah. So I got a job substituting at high school and was there for about a year. And at the end of the year, the school actually asked me if I wanted to come on board and be a full-time teacher. So I passed the test that I needed to take and jumped in there literally for the next fall and took a class as a nutrition and wellness teacher, which is right up my alley and fits into everything I do anyway. And we talk about wellness, spiritual wellness, physical wellness, mental wellness. And then we also talk about nutrition and how it ties into it. Sure. And this is a long story, but we're getting through it. As Sophia and I stayed together, she was competing. She was a national level competitor trying to get her pro card. Took first place at junior USA's. Literally a top level amateur competitor. I hadn't competed in 19 years. It'd been that long since I had been on stage. And we were working out together. We started a nutrition business, teaching people how to do healthy keto. Sure. So not necessarily doing meal plans and stuff, but explaining to people how you do it, how do you make it work, and that kind of thing. And we were doing that. We were competing. We were working out together. We were making food videos. Just everything was coming together, and we're starting to put our life together. And she convinced me to get back on stage after 19 years. You could do this. So I had a couple of the higher ups look at me. Yep, you could do this. I went out. I took second place at Masters Nationals 3 years ago. First time back on stage in 19 years. So haven't gotten the pro card, but still competing. I'm about 4 weeks out for Masters Nationals again. But she was the one that got me back on stage, and now I am back 100%. So fast forward a little bit more. Everything is really going well. Her and I are planning our life together between bodybuilding and, you know, buying a house and animals and what we're going to do and kids and you name it.
Yeah.
And she went to sleep one night and didn't wake up. And my life turned upside down again. And we had talked about so many times how much we loved our routine, how much we could look at where we were 6 or 7 years ago, where I was living in my car. We didn't have toilet paper. We were literally eating cans of tuna for dinner. And I was like, fast forward, now you're eating filet mignon and we're having steak and we're living well and we're planning our life. Like, things really turned around, and we did it together. We did it as a team because you believed in me, I believed in you. And losing her just literally turned everything upside down. I had always vowed to myself when my nephew and niece were murdered that if something tragic were to happen to me, that I was going to find a way to turn it into something positive. That's just who my mom and dad raised. That's who we were. And about 6 months after Sophia passed away, my best friend and I were sitting at lunch, and I said I wanted to do something in her honor, but I don't know what it is. We talked about supplements. What do we do? And he said, well, what do you want to do? I said, I want to provide for other people what she did for me. And he said, well, what's that? And I said, she saved my life. I said, she believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. And that is kind of where the Sophia Graham Foundation came from. I said, we did that through the gym membership. It's now grown. Our mission statement is to lift people who feel the weight of the world on their shoulders and provide improved mental health through the pursuit of physical strength. And it's just something different. I speak at different bodybuilding events. I go to businesses and do leadership seminars, try and explain to people and businesses that you literally can grow and how to grow when you didn't think it was possible. And that's not just physical, but it's also mental. It's spiritual, and kind of what I've gone through with God and losing people and kind of everything. So there's how we ended up here. So the foundation has been around about 1.5 years now, and we're really just starting to take off. I'm John Maxwell certified to do leadership training, and like I said, that's what I'm really pushing to do, is get in front of as many businesses, organizations, church groups, kids groups, you name it, and tell my story, but really tell people that no matter where you're at, there's a way out. And I want to tie it into physical. It doesn't have to be the gym. It might be getting your tail out and going for a walk every day, you know? But if it's a gym, let us provide that membership to you. Let us get you in there. Let us help you out. There's just always a way out. And it's still a struggle for me every single day. So I'm by no means done with my journey.
I like that. First of all, thank you so much for sharing all of it. And as I stated before, I'm definitely so sorry for just everything that you've gone through. There's some things I want to hit upon that I think we unpack. The audience will really get a good feel for where we're going. Let me take a quick break, and then we'll go from there.
Hey, what's up? It's CVMK33. Look, I want you to subscribe, hit the notification bell, subscribe here, everywhere, so you can get the latest and greatest of this podcast content. Stay tuned.
All right, so www.cvmkglobal.store. So you mentioned there's always a way out. Let's go back. Were you shocked to see who came to your aid when it seemed like, life was just in a downward tailspin? You mentioned your best friend from high school. She created a place for you to stay. Like, people really kind of came to your aid. Were you shocked on who came to your aid and how much so? Because I think sometimes, and it's not, I don't know if it's pride, but I think every human being wants to feel like a contributor of some sort,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it hurts to say that you're hurting. I mean, that's just the reality of it. And I think one of the challenges is that it's easy to fall into the belief that nobody's going to support or to love you in the manner in which you need, right? So
Right.
it's not that it's self-sabotage, but it is kind of like, don't they see me? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So were you shocked, I guess, is where I want to start.
Yeah, two things on that. The biggest thing that shocked me the first time through with the kids and my mom and dad and all that, like I said, was the gym community. These people that I was not necessarily friends with, they paid membership dues, and I saw them every day when they checked in. I mean, we were friends, but it was through a business relationship, right?
Right.
So it blew me away that these people that were not people that I'd grown up with, but they all came together for me. That shocked me. People from my past definitely stepped up. The big thing that I've noticed now with, I'll say, my next round of tragedy with everything that's happened with Sophia, however the best way to describe that is the first time through, I definitely had that pride that you talked about. I wanted everybody to think I was okay. I'm living in my car, lying to people. Heck yeah, I'm doing good. No worries. I don't have that now. I will break down and bawl my eyes out in the middle of a gym in between sets of squats. And it happens, I still cry daily. And it's, what gets me is not the people that do step up, but some of the people that don't step up.
Wow.
And it's not necessarily step up. I think people are not comfortable with it. I absolutely love to talk about Sophia. It's my favorite thing. I want to talk about her, keep her alive, keep her memory alive. But I'll be in a conversation with somebody and say, oh, yeah, actually, you know what? Sophia and I's favorite restaurant is right over here. And people will go,
yeah.
They're not sure how to take that. They're not sure, is it okay to talk about her? Do we not talk about her? And I don't think everybody is comfortable dealing with grief and dealing with somebody not having that pride. It was easy the first time through when I faked it. There was a lot of people that stepped up because I was, and now it's different. There's still hundreds of people. I get emails from people, oh, you're so strong. I'm not strong. I just feel like I don't have any other choice. And I made a promise to Sophia that I was going to do this, and I would never quit, So it's a little on both. There are definitely people that have stepped up that you never would have thought would have been the ones. But with the grief and stuff that I deal with now, it's a little bit on the other side. Some people aren't really sure. They don't want to see a post every day about her or me saying how much I miss her or that I'm breaking down or whatever it is. Some people see you in the gym and my hood is up and I have my head down and tears running down my face and they don't want to approach you. And there are other people that will literally walk over and not say anything. And I had a girl and her husband the other day walked over and she just put her hand on my shoulder. I was sitting down outside, didn't say a word to anybody. And she walked over and put her hand on my shoulder. And she just leaned down and she said, are you okay? And I nodded my head and she kind of patted me and gave me a hug and he did too. And they walked away. That meant the absolute world to me. And that was all I needed. So I do see it from both sides.
I like it. I'm going to do here to pivot someplace else. Sometimes I don't think people realize that our ecosystems become a home to us, right? Like I think sometimes, and maybe this is where the gym world is missing, where the disconnect is. I think when a franchisee or even a premium, gym, whatever, quote unquote, gets opened up, it's like it's about the amenities or it's about the idea or whatever, and they're marketing toward what I would call vanity reasons. But I think a true goer, like a true member, even if you don't speak to the people every day, because you see the same people, 4 to 6 days a week, you see them grind, you see them sweat, you see them get to goals, you see them kind of lapse, you see the whole full circle of things. You gain an appreciation, but more importantly, you gain a respect. Like that person is in here, and then like there's a respect and a love that goes with it. It's a weird thing. Like I respect that. You know, like this person is here again, even though there's a blizzard on the way. Like this person is here, and I think they don't get it. Like, you know, like not to talk about any gym, but like when they open up, they don't realize like the people make the gym.
Right.
You know, like the equipment is needed, but the people, you know.
Right. And I get asked that a lot of times because I am in several different gyms a week. I don't really stay in one. I kind of bounce around and go to different places. I have friends that own different gyms, and they always ask me, what would you change? And I'm like, nothing. It's the people, you know, or it's the atmosphere. Well, how do I fix the atmosphere? You don't. It's the people. It's the people, and it's home to a lot of people. During COVID, I just had a post pop up from, you know, Facebook throws you your memories every day. And there was a Facebook post popped up about 2 weeks ago, and it was Sophia tagged both of us, and it was her in the gym, and it was an older picture from pre-COVID, and this was when the gyms were all shut down, and it was her, you know, doing some bicep curls, and she said, "I miss my home. The gym is home." Mm-hmm. And it's just the truth, you know. They become your family in some sense of the way. So
that's true. That's true. How so God sends you this angel and Sophia and helps to get you about the ashes, right? Like to say there's some silver lining all of this, you know, there's hope, there's light at the end of the tunnel, however we want to categorize it or characterize it or whatever. And when everything is starting to kind of make sense again, like the wheels are starting to turn, and then bam, right, another hit. How do you put your left foot in front of your right foot? Like every day, finding the strength to just go a step further.
The morning that it happened.
Yeah.
And this will sound absolutely probably crazy to a lot of people. I went to the gym. I had her sweatshirt with me, and I went to the gym. I didn't know what else to do. Where would she be? She would be with me, and we would be at the gym. I went to the gym. That day, I work for the NPC and the IFBB. I do expediting backstage at bodybuilding shows. So both of us work here. Yeah. And that day was a show here locally. And it was a show that her and I had worked for the last couple years, had been part of. And I was at that show all day long after my workout. And the reason I was there is because those people, those fitness people, those bodybuilding people, they understood. They understood our relationship. They knew who she was. They knew who I was. They knew who we were. They know what we were building together. They had watched me go from the bottom, you know, working my way towards the top. And that's what I did. That's how I literally, I didn't know any other way. You know, I think I could have, even to this day, I don't want to get out of bed every morning. You know, and competing right now, I'm 4 weeks out. I'm in the gym twice a day. So at 4:30 in the morning, when that alarm goes off, I don't want to get out of bed. Yeah. And I roll over and I turn my alarm off and I lay there and I go, "Good morning, baby." And I say hi to her. I know it's time to get up. I got to go, because she would be doing it. If she was here, we would be up. Her little feet hit the floor and we were in that gym and doing cardio, and there was no missing it. There was nobody more dedicated and nobody that was harder working than her. Mm-hmm. So I do stuff like that because I know if she was here physically, because I truly believe she is still here and all around me. Sure. If she were here physically, she would be pushing me to do it. And I don't want to disappoint her. I don't want to let her down. So that's really how I put one foot in front of the other. But it's, you know, people say, oh, day by day, oh, it gets easier. No, it doesn't. It's not a bit easier. It still feels like it was yesterday. You know, the tears don't come as frequently, but they do come every day.
Sure.
You find out how to handle the grief and tune it to something, whether that's in your middle of a workout, in the middle of the set, doing the foundation work, something meaningful. I think that's a big part of it, but it's difficult. And I think that through the foundation, that's what we try and tell people is if you're stuck and you feel like you cannot grow, and that could be in business, maybe you're in a job you don't like. It could be in a relationship. You're in an abusive relationship, something you need to get out of. It could be, I've dealt with guys that have just gotten out of prison, drug addiction, you name it. If you feel like you're at the bottom and there's no way out, there is a way. And the gym is not necessarily the right way for everybody, but there is scientific proof, as you start exercising, the endorphins and the things that go on in your brain do make you feel better. And even if that's only for an hour, that's an hour that you might not have gotten feeling good otherwise. So, I really center it all around trying to be in the gym, take care of myself, work out, be around the people that understand.
Yeah.
And go from there.
I like this. I'm gonna hit you with one or two things, and I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Oh, absolutely. I think you and I could probably sit down and run my mouth with you for about 25 hours on stuff. So this is good.
No problem, man. It's interesting when we talk about the spirituality of it all. It seems like, even biblically speaking, God is at his best through pain, right? Through the sufferings, right? Scripture talks about the sufferings of the Lord. Like, he bore our sorrows, right? Like, he knew no iniquity, yet, we esteemed him smitten of God, wounded, even when we think of the cross, like, it's a very grotesque, morbid suffering. How have you settled that internally? Like, he allowed it, and then he birthed this foundation that is going to change the world out of all of this pain. Like, your ministry really is the 222 Muscle, the Sophia Graham Foundation, but it's because of everything you've been through, right? Like, it comes about because of the pain. Like, how have you wrestled with that? Like, God used this to get that.
It's not settled, to be honest with you. It's not even close. I struggle daily.
Sure.
And I remember going through everything with the kids and my mom and dad.
Yeah.
And I remember at one point leaving the gym. My mom had just passed away. The kids had passed away. My dad had been diagnosed. I was headed to his house. And I remember walking out to my car, and there was my girlfriend at the time.
Yeah.
I said, I'm heading to go see Dad. And she's like, all right, well, I love you, God bless you or something. And I went off, and I was like, you know what? God can, but instead of, she said, don't say that. Your mother wouldn't like you to say that. And I said, you know what? I'm angry. I don't know what else am I supposed to feel?
Yeah.
And at that point, over the last 12, 13 years, I've dealt through that, and I understood that. And I looked, everybody says, oh, there's a reason for everything. Well, it's not much of a reason for an 11 and 12-year-old to get a bullet put in their head. That's no way to reconcile that. But I think it's what you kind of, maybe what you do with it. But I at least reconcile that with God, I think. With Sophia, like you said, everything was coming together. Everything was starting to look up. Like, it was easy for us as a team to look and say, man, this is where we were and this is where we're headed. I had actually talked to the people at John Maxwell about doing some leadership training 5 years ago. And Sophia pushed me to do it. You've got such a story. You should be in front of people. You need to tell this story. You need to talk to people. And the timing just didn't feel right. The reason it does now is because of her. She wanted me to do this, and and everything that's happened between her and I, now in the last 2 years.
Sure.
But from the spiritual side, I feel Sophia daily. There are crazy things that will happen, whether it's a light turning on and off, whether it's 222 coming up in a random place. I mean, there are I have 100 probably different, things that I could tell you of things that have happened where I know it's her, where I'll literally feel her presence here, feel something. And I go back and forth with God still at 2 years. Yeah. And I will tell you right now, I believe 100% in Sophia and what she can do.
Sure.
And it's a catch, because there's a reason why Sophia can do all of that. Sure. And I know that. But sometimes it's hard to put those two together because of the anger and the questions that I still have. What was, like you said, what was the point? Why is it like this? Why is this happening? So I say that, but at the same time, if I was in an accident right now and I was on my way to the hospital, the first thing I'm going to do is pray to God.
Right.
So
I think you hit it on the head.
I go back, and that's just being honest with you. And I tell people, and some of my closest friends that are extremely, religious and spiritual will get angry at me for that. And I said, I'm being 100% honest. I'm not saying I don't believe in God. I'm not saying, I'm saying I struggle with that relationship daily, because there are so many bad people in this world that you look at and go, how does your life look so good? And how did Sophia's end so early? How did my nephew and niece end so? Why is mine such a struggle? Sure. Well, you don't know. Well, no, and we don't. Yeah. But I do 1,000% find strength in this foundation. And the fact that I am going to do for other people what she did for me, and I truly believe that she was put on this earth to save my life and to save everyone else's, and she's going to have a legacy because of it. So I think that's how I end up reconciling it, at the end of the day. But to be honest, like I said, we're 2 years into it, and I struggle daily.
I like it. Well, I'll be back with my final thought, and then I'll let you give you where everybody can connect with you and support.
Okay.
Just a quick word from our sponsor.
I literally just tried the best pre-workout on the planet. With Superpower pre-workout, you have increased focus and a power boost every single time you work out. It's not only packed with 225 milligrams of caffeine, but it also has citrulline and creatine. It's insane how much energy and focus I had during my workouts. If you're ready to take your workouts to the next level, then ditch your current pre-workout and get the Superpower pre-workout to be your own hero.
So, www.cvnkglobal.store. I don't know why I keep messing up my own promo super thick, Chris.
I got to get on that. I like that.
Thank you, man. I've been messing up all day. But no, so final thought. I love the transparency. I love it. And I think you hit it up on the head. I think sometimes we like to create the narrative that if there is any disruption, or if there's any hesitation or sense of doubt, therefore I do not love, or therefore whatever, right? I'm not good, or however we want to frame it. But I think that conflict and frustration and doubt is the recipe for love. I don't believe in relationships without conflict. I don't mean like vitriol or violent, but I mean that that the way that you're close to something is through proximity, and ultimately you'll be in contact with whatever you're in proximity with. So when I think of the story of like Joseph, and his life kind of sucked, being sold to slavery, lied on as presumed dead, then sold, then put in jail, being falsely accused. I mean, like a really just continuous blur of bad stuff on top of bad stuff on top of bad stuff, and then to get to the point where he has to reconcile with his own brothers. I think that is the true marker of faith, right? Like when he tells his brothers, you meant it for evil, but God used it for good. That's a statement that's not prior to that even founded in scripture. Like it's beyond the religious context. I've had these terrible experiences, and you forgot about me, and life hit me in all the wrong places, and yet here I am where I'm supposed to be, and he's Prime Minister of Egypt, right? So I think, and this is my final word, in your case, totally not ideal, and there's totally zero justification for any of it. And yet you are going to inspire the mental pivoting of the fitness industry, because the truth of the matter is people who really stick to fitness are the ones who are battling themselves. It is spiritual. It's not just iron and muscles and vascularity and, you know, squatting over 400 pounds. I wish I could squat over 400 pounds.
That's important, though.
I support it, though. Right.
Not missing leg day is important. So.
Right. It was leg day. I definitely am for it, though. but there's another component to that.
Yeah.
And that's how he ushers you in. And my prayer for you, Kelly, is that you see God, that in all of it, that when he gets you to that place, you'll understand why. Kelly, where can they support the Sophia Graham Foundation, the website? They can donate. How can they do that?
Yeah, the easiest place is to go to sophiagrahamfoundation.org, or if that one is hard to remember, 222muscle.com will also take you there. And there's a place to be able to buy 222 Muscle sweatshirts. We have some different gear. Donations are really how we survive. So that is fantastic. And also, if somebody wanted me to come to their church group, their school, their fitness, and any fitness event, something like that, I do speaking on different leadership, learning how to grow through what you go through, coaching services, and different leadership assessment as well for businesses. So a little bit of anything, but sophiagrahamfoundation.org, and please go support us. We literally can't do this without everybody. And I said, I want her to have a legacy, and we want to change a whole lot of lives.
Guys, sophiagrahamfoundation.org. The goal we want to get to the next year is $1 million worth of revenue raised. I think you shared that with me last time. We want this to spark a change. People out there need gym memberships. I mean, the foundation literally pays for people that are going through, that are having difficult times, so that they can continue and they can find the strength and resolve to go forth. And then 222muscle.com, you see the amazing sweatshirt. Guys, get the apparel, get the merch. Connect with Kelly Kirk on the ground, FlexN13. Hit him up. You did what he says. Guys, and if you want to keep seeing amazing podcasts like he is right now, you know what you got to do. YouTube, CVMK. Instagram, CVMK_global. It is what it is. Show and CVMK33. You know where you get the best creatine from. Super Thick Creatine. www.cvmkglobal.store. And until next time, guys.